out on top. Peter Baldwin tried as hard as he could, but just couldn't quite get there in time.
No, couldn't. And Baldwin was just doing his usual, really, just being very, very clever. He's a very experienced driver. But we've got a fantastic race coming up. The black cloud is still on its way through over the top of us here at Castle Combe, and we saw in the previous race there is still some spots of rain in the air, so all action still to come here for the last couple of races today here at Combe. So the Minis weaving around, warming up their tyres. We saw a very close race last time. I'm sure we're going to see another one again, and if we get that shower of unexpected rain to dump whatever it needs to on the circuit during this race, we're going to be in for a real thrilling drive.
Richard Casey on the green flag lap for the first race had a bit of a wobble here, didn't he, at Quarry? He's managed to avoid doing anything like that this time around. The earlier race, Kane Astin, Peter Baldwin, Colin Peacock at the top three, and the Mini Sevens, Gareth Hunt, winner for the second time in that class of the season. Paul Spark, who is missing from race 2, and he was in second in the class. Andrew Devaney third. Just to make the point also, this is not a championship round, so 1 or 2 drivers missing because they are not going to gain anything out of this. They're not going to gain championship points, so they're going to save the cars. Others adopting the attitude, well, I'm here and I've paid my entry fee, so let's go and have some fun. So not a championship round, an all-comers race for the Minis, a non-championship race, but it's one that's going to entertain, that's for sure. And Richard Casey weaving around in the leading car, getting the warmth into the tyres. Kane Astin behind him, Peter Baldwin next in the queue. Peter, who has been racing Minis of one sort or another for ever, I think it is fair to say, and has had huge success both in these cars, in special saloon Minis, in Mini Coopers, in historic touring car events, sharing regularly with Graham Churchill. And if anybody can make a Mini fly, Peter is your man. So there are the Mini Miglias. You can see their lower suspension with the flared wheel arches. They're the cars with the modified 1293 A-Series engines. And then the 1 litre 7s. There's James Coulson. He has been a front runner this season. Onboard camera on that car. And looking out of the back of it, you can see spots of rain on the rear screen. Now, of course, one thing that we saw from Paul Thompson in the earlier race was the problem of closed cars, saloon cars, misting up inside. He had to take his glove off, didn't he, Paul Thompson, and flick that at the screen to try and find a bit of visibility. So the drivers will be keen that the cars don't steam up, because that's going to give them another problem. And Richard Casey arriving very rapidly, stands on the brakes, slots into pole position, and the man from Burnley coming back into Mini racing this year after a few years away. Front runner in Fiestas in years past as well, in the regional XR Challenge. The 2 orange cars there, Peter Baldwin in the car that is often raced by Sarah Mums, and Sarah has won races with it, but she's run out of budget for the moment, so Peter has been tempted to come back into racing. Didn't take much tempting, to be fair. Great enthusiast still. So we're almost ready to go racing. So the grid is formed. We have 17 minutes for this St Andrews Bureau-backed non-championship race for the Mini Sevens and the Mini Miglias. The Miglias are at the front. The Sevens, there they are at the back. Calvin Edgar and Malcolm Keat are at the rear of the grid. Malcolm Keat's blue car just about to go out of shot. There it goes, the Boltonian driver. So 2, 3, 4, then 5 red lights will come on. They go out, we're underway, and who makes the best start? Good getaway by Dave Drew there. Look in the white car that absolutely spears through from the 3rd row, and Dave Drew levelling with Richard Casey on the run up towards Folly for the first time. Is he going to be able to go round the outside? He's going to give it a good go, that's for sure. And the pink car of Aaron Smith trying to go with them. And there are all the 7s pouring their way uphill for the first time. Malcolm Keat with a heated front screen we talked about earlier on in the day. Dave Drew leads, but he arrives very, very rapidly going into Quarry. Will he survive? He goes a bit wide. Another good start, Aaron Smith there, and he's up from the 4th row of the grid. What a fantastic start for the race leader at the moment. Going from the next couple of rows back, straight into the lead and pulling away. So fantastic confidence on those cold tyres. So Richard Casey finds himself from pole down to 3rd. Race 1 winner Kane Astin behind him. Then Peter Baldwin, who still, I maintain, could be a potential winner of this, even though he's lost a bit of ground on lap 1. Everybody else comes pouring through. How are we getting on in the 7s? Well, there through is Tristan Knight. He's not at the head of the queue, not yet, but Aaron Smith is going to lead the race there. Look, going through on the inside at Tower. Dave Drew gave him just enough racing room. Kane Astin's up to 3rd. Richard Casey, I'm afraid, fading, isn't he now, from the front row of the grid. Not a great day for Richard Casey around here. Really good in qualifying, but come racing, seems to be struggling a little bit. Peter Baldwin is 5th, and Paul Thompson is next up in 6th place. Paul, a champion in both 7s and Miglias, and it's not that easy actually to make the transition. Quite a few people have tried, and not everybody has succeeded at being able to be a 7 champion and then carry on that success into the mini-Miglias. Well, Paul Thompson is one who has done it, but he's got a lot of work to do here as they come through at the end of lap 1. You've also got Phil Harvey there at the back of that train in what he's pleased to call his Motley Mini, and he's still charging on over the line in 12th place.
Yeah, the leading pack starting to sort of spread out between themselves, really. Smith has got a slight advantage there and is eking out a bit of a lead. It'll be interesting to see the lap times of these early charges from the Miglias and also the 7s throughout this race. So rear view camera there coming up over Avon Rise as we break down into Quarry Corner, which is a very late apex left-hander. You can hear the car getting back on the power again, pulling out the corner, all of them evenly matched. You can see very little distance at all lost between them all.
And in those 1 litre cars, half the battle is keeping up the momentum, isn't it?
Yes, keeping momentum going, so you actually have to really throw the car in and not really using the brakes, a bit like sort of indoor karting, having to chuck the car around to scrub off speed, but not also lose momentum.
This is for the overall race lead. Come back to the 7s in a moment, because you've got Dave Drew trying to go back ahead. He does go back ahead there of Aaron Smith. Now, in the 7s, when they went over the timing line, the lead of the class was held by Ashley Davis. When we last saw them, Andrew Devaney led the class, so there's been another shuffle around there. And look at this. Fantastic stuff. As up on the inside line, tries to squeeze Nathan Burge in the red car. Does he go through? He does. He gains a place. Nips through on the inside. Ashley Davis, therefore, in the yellow car, is going backwards from his class lead. He's really faded over the course of this lap. So, leading cars go over the line, the leading Miglias, that is. Richard Casey, having said he was fading, has just done the fastest lap of the race. However, in the 7s, down they come through Camp Corner. Andrew Devaney leading the class, but he's just had a big slide. James Coulson going after him. Then you've got in 3rd place Tristan Knight. And look at this. The leading Miglias now, we've got 3, almost 4 for the race lead. Richard Casey almost up with them and taking Peter Baldwin with him. Kane Astin pulls out, goes one way, goes the other. Drew leading Smith, leading Astin, Casey, Baldwin. It's 5 for the lead.
Yeah, we've also got wipers on. You can see there, Astin there with the wiper on. Once the wiper's on, you pretty much just leave it if you think it's going to spit with rain throughout the whole race. We've got a few spectators with brollies up as well, so this could add to the mix of this race being even closer when it gets a little bit slippery.
Mini racing always is fantastic, whether it's the new shape or the old shape. But look at Aaron Smith. Really brave effort that round the outside, wasn't it? Going into Tower. Doesn't pay off for him. He's able to slot back in without losing any ground against Kane Astin, who is there in 3rd place. Casey 4th, Baldwin 5th. And still 13 minutes of the race to go. Any one of those 5 could yet win this. Now, these are the 7s being headed by Andrew Devaney. James Coulson is right on his tail. And then behind them in 3rd in the 7th class now, Tristan Knight. James Coulson almost up onto the back of Devaney now.
Yeah, really good racing from both of these grids on the Castle Combe circuit. You can see the car really flinging it round. Opposite lock on the exit there. These, people underestimate these minis. They go, oh, you race a mini. But these guys really are pushing these cars to the absolute limit, and they are fantastic handling machines, as you can see. They look extremely stable.
And you have to drive a 7 very rapidly, even to be in last place, because really, you, as we've made the point, have to keep the momentum up all the time. So you're either braking or you're flat out. That's really how to drive them, apparently. There is Devaney leading his class by 0.6 of a second. Now this is Richard Casey making progress. He has now got himself up into 2nd. Kane Astin is the one that's lost out there, as well as Aaron Smith, because they've gone back behind Casey. Paul Thompson, by the way, has now done the best lap of the race. There it is, 6 for the lead. A 24-wheel Mini up front. Dave Drew it is, who heads the pack at the moment. And having said early on that Richard Casey was fading after qualifying come racing, he is now responding to all of this, and he's really pushing hard, isn't he?
Yeah, you can see Thompson there in 6th place, just watching all of this battle unfold. Hence, he just popped in the fastest lap time, 1 minute 22.8 around this. Getting slipperier, so it looks there's more wipers on around this Castle Combe circuit. So Thompson is a man to watch that's in 6th, just watching this battle unfold.
Now here are the 7s, who are even closer, I think, than they were a lap ago. James Coulson is there with a very sideways Andrew Devaney hanging on to the lead of the class. Yes, he cuts across, doesn't he? Takes the line, and look, they've managed to catch up now to the slower Mini Miglia in the hands of Mick Green, so one of the larger engine cars being monstered by these impudent sevens. You're on board with James Colston now, and with his tinted windows not really helping the visibility here, and one wiper, cheapskate, he's looking for a way past Devaney, can't do it on the outside. Down they come then into Camp Corner. Is there a gap on the inside? No, there is not. And right behind James Colston now is Tristan Knight, the leading 3 Mini 7s tied together. Over the line they go. Devaney just ahead by a very modest margin. Looking back from James Coulson's car, as they went over the line, there was a glimpse of the safety car with its lights on. Coulson gets all sideways on a very slippery quarry corner there. That was a good save. He's lost a place. Could have lost a whole lot more out of all of that. Andrew Devaney then leading the class still. Tristan Knight goes up to second. And off has gone Paul Thompson. That's the man that had early on done the for the race. He's in the tyres. That might be at Tower looking at it. But Paul Thompson is off the road at Tower, so out of 6th place, and the road, Charlie, is getting ever more treacherous. Yeah, that was a cracking move from our camera car of Coulson there. That's one of the moves that you talk about down the pub and go, yeah, I saved that at about 60, 70 miles an hour. So fantastic moves from these guys, and yes, it is getting extremely slippery. So there you go for second in the 7s. Now these are the leading Miglias. Again, you can see in the background the safety car with its lights on as though it's anticipating needing to be deployed, but Richard Casey leads the way now from Dave Drew, who thinks about making a move going up towards Quarry, and on a very treacherous road, Aaron Smith gets sideways. Peter Baldwin just misses him. Well done, Peter. That was very, very, very close. Richard Casey still leads, and that's given Peter Baldwin another place. Now, I reckon these are on slicks on a wet road, and this is going to be increasingly difficult for them. The lap times, of course, have gone up, and they're tiptoeing round, and there's Kane Aston up to 2nd place on the inside. And then you've got the 7s that are actually on the tyres that they're always on. They've got sort of little tiny grooves in them, so they're absolutely fine. They're used to this, but the Miglias at the front here really have to be fairly cautious. This is where Peter Baldwin comes into his own look with all his years of experience. 3 wide around Tower is impossible. Peter Baldwin goes right round the outside of 2 of them. Fantastic stuff. We said early on in the day he was a legend. Now there was, whisper it, a still yellow flag there because of that car of Paul Thompson off the road. However, Peter Baldwin has managed to get himself up into 2nd spot. Yes, there is the still yellow flag. It's a waved yellow you need to be wary of, so hopefully that won't affect matters too much. Peter Baldwin up into 2nd. I hesitate to say he's going to win this race because Peter let me down earlier. Safety car is being deployed. I'd said for a couple of laps it looked like it was on standby, and now I don't quite know why, but the safety car is being deployed. It can't be for Paul Thompson, can it? Because I thought the lights were on the safety car before we picked that car up off the road. There may be somebody else off somewhere, but there is Paul Thompson's car that is certainly in an awkward place. The 7s go by, but I had a feeling I'd seen the lights on that car a little bit before we'd discovered Paul off the road. However, safety car we will have, and Richard Casey's advantage, if 7/10 of a second can be described as an advantage, will disappear. God, time to pause for breath. What a race. Yeah, I know, it's been fantastic. And great car control from these guys as well. You know, each lap, when it starts to spit with rain as a driver, you still can't really gauge that your wiper is actually moving the water because the momentum you're carrying isn't actually, you don't see the amount of water coming down onto the circuit. So every corner, is he going to brake later? Is he going to pass me? What's he going to do? So they're constantly treading on eggshells, really, but still don't want to lose position to each other. But fantastic move for Baldwin, and hopefully he didn't do that around the yellow flag area. So fingers crossed. With his experience, I doubt it. Now, the safety car didn't pick up the leader, but the wrong cars, if you like, have just been released. So the Mini 7s that had been collected now being released, so they don't lose too much out of all of this. Paul Thompson's car, I think, is the one that needs moving. Just looking to see if there's anybody else stranded around the circuit. We lost, I think, Mick Green and also Paul Simmons from earlier on. But I think it might well be Paul Thompson's car that's the one that needs most attention, but perhaps the clerk of the course thinking that a general clear-up might be a good thing if you've got quite a few cars off the road. So, of course, now you see drivers weaving around, not to warm up the tyres, but to try and maintain the warmth that they've already built up in them, because, of course, now that the speeds just drop right away, so all the temperature goes out of them. Yeah, and because Casey there is the first man to be released when the safety car does come in, the others are just going to be watching, seeing his brake lights come on and see if he ploughs straight on into the slowly getting wetter circuit. So
it is a cat and mouse game with these guys at the very front.
And of course, if they are going to slide off, you don't want to hit another car, so that's why they want to get Paul Thompson's car out of the way, as well as anybody else that's in an awkward place around the circuit. And Nathan Burge is off the road. And I think he's just done that under the safety car, hasn't he?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, he has, yeah.
Having a moment behind the safety car tends not to win you many friends with the clerk of the course, especially
exactly where the incident is about. So,
well,
views from the marshals here working very well with our car here that's got the onboard camera. So remember, all these marshals here are voluntary. They're doing a really good job. The weather hasn't been fantastic here at Castle Combe, but it could have been worse. It was forecast for really, really bad weather, but we've got a dry circuit at the moment. It's just slightly getting a sprinkling of rain on at the moment. So, David, what's your view so far? Who are you going to go for?
Well, let's catch up first of all on a few dramas, I think. We're not going to be long, I think, from going racing. Richard Casey versus Peter Baldwin. Still tempted to go for Peter Baldwin here, but let's just try and remember where we're up to, because quite a few people have been in the wars. So this was James Coulson trying to get the lead of the sevens off Andrew Devaney. Devaney went a little bit sideways, but not half as sideways as James Coulson. That was a good save, but he lost a place. Tristan Knight got past him and has stayed ahead of him, incidentally, since they had that swap around. Then we have that big lose from Aaron Smith, and Paul Thompson into the barrier. Yes, Aaron Smith got sideways ahead of him. That distracted Paul a bit, I think, and off he went. And that was Aaron Smith's main moment at Quarry, and how Peter Baldwin missed him remains something of a mystery, but miss him he did. And Peter is now up into second place, and the way he got second was this. So with a parked car and two to overtake, Peter round the outside. I've never seen three abreast at Tower. That's quite a move. And Peter Baldwin came out on top of it all into second spot. The lights are still on top of the safety car, but shouldn't be long, I don't think. Maybe, in fact, once they've gone through the incident zone this time at Tower and had a look at it, they'll be happy to release the cars. 4 more minutes are on the clock. Slippy, wet road. Richard Casey in a very successful car. Richard, as you've seen, no mean driver himself. Peter Baldwin in a very successful car. Peter, hugely successful over many years of racing minis of all descriptions. 1275 GT Challenge, Special Saloons, these cars, you name it. And as the field turns its way through Bobby's, are the lights out on top of the safety car? Yes, they are. So that will peel for the pit lane. We'll be ready to go.
But after all that, they've still left the car still on the exit of the corner. You'd have thought they'd have maybe moved it onto the inside. There must be a reason for that, because these guys know what they're doing. But just seems puzzling why the car is still left where it was.
Racing again, over the line, and 3 minutes remain as the green flag flies. And now, of course, they have to up the pace on coolish tyres on a slippy road. Richard Casey leads the way. Peter Baldwin going with him. Dave Drew runs third. Kane Astin's yellow and blue car fourth. Aaron Smith fifth. And in sixth place is Rupert Deep as the cars power their way now up towards Quarry Corner. Peter Baldwin for the race lead on the inside. Richard Casey gives him racing room, and Peter Baldwin scrabbles by. Is he going to hang on to it? Goes a little bit wide. Richard Casey back up alongside him, back in front of him. Peter Baldwin overtaken in mini race. Shock, horror, but he's going to fight back on the inside as they head now up towards the S's, and Richard Casey hangs on in there. Richard Casey rising to the occasion, isn't he?
Yeah, especially being under pressure by the legend mini racer, Mr. Baldwin, Peter Baldwin there, coming out of the S's as they go flat out, completely flat out, pinned to the absolute floor, going up the gears into the next corner, which is Tower, where we saw Baldwin do that fantastic move, 3 abreast around the outside there as they lead their way down. Here we go, at Tower corner now. The leader just getting slightly further away. Austin trying to make a move on the outside, then does the cut back on the inside, but still can't do it.
Dave Drew defending, but also trying to attack Peter Baldwin, who led for what, a corner? And Richard Casey back up front now, trying to stay there. Somebody else that's improving as the road gets wetter. Look, there at the back of that queue is Rupert Deep, Peter's protege, Peter Baldwin's protege, looking for a way past Kane Astin on the inside, but get them. Casey to Baldwin was half a second last time around. They've traded places, and Casey back in front, comes over the line. The gap's still half a second. In fact, Peter lapped quicker over the course of that lap. Dave Drew third in the mini sport car, then fourth Kane Astin. Aaron Smith falling back a little bit now, isn't he, within this leading gaggle. It is still Andrew Devaney heading the Mini 7s from Tristan Knight and James Coulson. There is Andrew Devaney starting his last lap. The rain is getting heavier again. We started with heavy rain at Castle Combe this morning, and it's going to finish seemingly in the same vein as there. Devaney paddles up towards Quarry. Casey on the last lap, keeping Baldwin at bay, but can he do so for another half of this lap? Through the S's they come. Richard Casey is the first one to discover, lap to lap, how wet it is. Peter Baldwin thinks about the outside line at Old Paddock. That's very brave if it comes off. He thinks better of it. It's going to have to be that demon move at Tower, I think, isn't it? As he tries one side, then the other, going into Hammerdown. It's going to be on the outside line for Tower. Peter Baldwin for the race lead. Yes, yes, yes. Nose in front. Brakes for the corner. They're going to go side by side through Tower. Baldwin on the outside. Casey on the inside. Peter Baldwin comes out in front. Fantastic. Peter Baldwin has done it round the outside on the last lap of the race. Brilliant stuff. Now, if you needed any evidence, this is why Peter has had so much success in minis over the years. It's why he's so well regarded. If anybody can pull off a stunt like that, Peter is your man. Baldwin leading, a very twitchy Casey second. Dave Drew third. Peter Baldwin, one corner to go, turns his way into camp. His car doesn't go that well, he reckons, in the west. It goes well enough. It's another win for Peter Baldwin in Miglia racing as he comes across the line. It's not a championship race, but nonetheless, it's a win for him from Richard Casey second and Dave Drew third. Rupert Death gets fourth on the last lap from Kane Astin and Colin Peacock. And this is Andrew Devaney, who has managed to pull a gap, in fact, on the last lap of the race. And he will be the winning Mini 7 driver as he comes across the line. Well, we said Will de Claudio was a bit of a hero after the earlier race. Can we add Peter Baldwin to our heroes club for the day? What a move.
That was absolutely brilliant. So that's twice he's done some awesome moves at Tower Bend. Absolutely, and it just goes to show that the quicker racing line is just slightly off the proper racing line. So the wet line is always just outside where it's slightly grippy on that unused bit of tarmac.
James Coulson there, third in the 7s with bits flapping around inside the car. Well, poor old Richard Casey, he's another of those drivers that did a lot of leading but not very much winning. You could argue that he deserved to win that race, but Peter Baldwin had other ideas about it and came home victorious. But Richard Casey did his level best to keep Peter Baldwin behind him. Peter is still pressing on like he didn't see the flag. Peter, you don't have to be going this rapidly, you know, because you have won, but he's left him. That's the hint, Peter. Look in your mirror and you'll see that there's nobody behind you.
Yeah, no, you can see the way he ducked out from that back marker. He really doesn't think that the flag's been out. The rain is now absolutely chucking down. Maybe he's just gone for a free extra lap.
But what Peter hasn't done is look behind him and think, where have they all gone? Maybe the race is over. He is still pushing until he does see the checkered flag. Maybe last time he was correcting that bit of understeer and didn't spot the flag. Anyway, it's there now. Yes, he celebrates.
There you go. Now you see him waving in the car. Bless him, after all those years of experience, you can still make mistakes.
Got the bonus lap there, Peter Baldwin. Well, a win is a win. He's done it by 11/10 of a second. Peter, well done. And everybody else makes their way down the pit lane. Richard Casey second, Dave Drew finishing in third place. There's one more race to come from Castle Combe. That's going to be for the sports and GT cars coming up in a few minutes' time here. But first of all, let's recap the top 6 overall and the top 6 Miglias. Peter Baldwin the winner, Richard Casey second, Dave Drew third, ahead of Rupert Death. Kane Astin in 5th, 6th going the way of Colin Peacock. And of course it ends on a very wet and treacherous road here in Wiltshire. So Peter Baldwin takes yet another win behind the wheel of a Mini.